Hello everyone, it's Matt with LiveSportscaster.com, and I have had a lot of requests to do a studio tour of my setup that I have here in the basement. And I'm pretty proud of what I've done here in the studio. I know it's not a TriCaster, it's not the high quality setup you may see from a lot of professional level broadcasters, but I've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort getting this setup going to where I can just roll this card in and begin broadcasting in HD video with multi-cameras and different encoders that we would choose to use when we're on set. So I want to give you a quick tour, since I've had a lot of requests here, to show what kind of equipment we use for broadcasting our MMA events or any sporting events, or really any events that we do. And I just want to give you a quick overview of exactly what we have. So I'm going to flip the camera around here so you can see exactly what we're doing here. This is a Duquesne broadcasting cart, and it's actually a pretty simple setup, but it's a great product. You can find it at Duquesne.com. I actually purchased this one from Eastern Kentucky University as a surplus item. So they were getting rid of it, and I decided to pick it up because I thought it would fit perfect for what I use it for. Trouble is, this thing is made of steel, and as you can see, it's probably, I don't know, 3.5 feet tall, made of steel, and it is obviously hollow to fit all our equipment inside of it. But the thing is very, very heavy, and I keep this in my basement, so I gotta have a second hand to help me get it upstairs. Regardless, this thing is pretty awesome. I mean, it's got wheels. So you just roll this thing in and you're ready to go. I've done a lot of customizations to it. For one, this thing's made for a projector. So this has this little flap that folds down from here. And a projector normally sits on top of this and projects this way. Well, I thought it was a perfect fit for a mixer, which for the one I have, it turns out to be perfect and an exact fit for what I need it for. The trouble was mounting it to that fold out that comes out, and well, it turns out that I can't really mount it as much as I like to, but I've worked it out to where I only have to plug a single, maybe 2 to 3 cables into it max, so it's not a big deal. Just setting it on there and we're ready to broadcast and going from there. So this thing's pretty awesome. It's got a single output cable here that goes, and this is obviously safety cable here that it runs flat so no one trips over it when we're on location. And it runs underneath my couch in this setup and goes over into the wall on that side. But so when we have it in the basement, we run underneath the couch, but otherwise it's a pretty safe and awesome way to conceal the cables and get them to where we can just roll this thing in, plug it in, and we're ready to go. That's the only cable that comes out of this entire setup. So for this example, I have put a tripod on the very top of the cabinet, and this is my tripod here, and I normally have a camera on top of here, but I'm using the camera that I typically would broadcast with to record this video, so I don't have it on top. But it gives you a good example of what we can do with this cart. Anything can go on top of here. I can put a monitor there, put a keyboard there, I can put really anything I want there. And at both sides, it has this little flip out that will flip flat, so I can set, in this case, my router. Or on this side, I have the same thing where I can flip this up and set whatever I want to on that side as well. And you can see here that I've got some monitors connected to it. Those disconnect very easily, and I'll show you the other side. It's basically a double monitor, and I'll turn this light off so it doesn't blind you. But it's basically a double monitor stand that is connected on the top here. And then you can see this is a very clean back with only a few cables running out, just because it's in the basement. There's my dog over there. It's in the basement, so you don't see all the cables coming out, which normally wouldn't happen if I'm on location. As I said, there's only a couple cables coming out of this thing. But when we open that thing, that's a whole nother story, and you'll see a lot of different cables running back and forth. That shows you the complexity of what's inside. So here is some of the things I have at home. Here's a Mac computer that I have that I bought surplus. A program monitor here that I program all the outputs to the stream. I've got a table here for any hosts that we have, as well as a green screen and with some lighting. I've got basic lighting. I didn't spend a whole lot on lighting because actually it turns out these drop ceiling lights work out really well for broadcasting. And I didn't need to invest a whole lot in lighting because I don't see a whole lot of shadows when I do any chroma keying or keying out as it is. So got a few tripods here in the corner and a whole bunch of cabling over here on the side. And this is mainly for the mobile setups. Got a couple mixers here that I use for mobile broadcasting. But generally, this is the entire setup that I have here just in this mobile broadcasting cart. So I'm going to open this up. It does lock, so in case I have to step away, I don't have to worry about anybody stealing any equipment that's inside. And here is the mess that you will find. And I realize it looks like there's a lot of cables here, a lot of confusion going on, but every cable has a purpose, and they are there for a reason. And I probably could have done a little bit better as far as cable management goes, but when it comes to broadcasting, you got to make sure you have everything set and ready to go. And as long as I understand what's going on inside of there, that's all that really matters. So I've got a few things in here I want to show because it makes for a very, very good broadcasting setup when you're on the go and you're on the move and you need to get broadcasting quickly, effortlessly, and not having to pack a whole bunch of bags with you, which I used to have to do, and I won't have to do going forward. So the very first thing I want to show you on this side is my Netgear Switch here, and basically this will allow me to connect anything that needs internet at any time, and all I need is a single internet source. So in an example, if I'm broadcasting on the street, I'll generally broadcast via 4G LTE, and I will connect this router as a repeater. It will send via this cable all the way into this network box here, this network switch, and this switch will send internet to anything that I have. My computer, which is down here, or if I have a separate encoder like a Boxcast, which you've seen on our site before, it will send to there as well, or any encoder. If you have a video or if you have TriCaster, whatever you may have, it'll send internet via this switch to whatever encoder you have. And so that's what that's for. So we're basically sending via Ethernet any LTE cable that we get from that repeater into the box. And then from there, we do have a few things that I want to show you here. We got plenty of power down there, but I'm going to show you the reason for this little HDMI switch in just a second. So we're going to come around to the side. I've done a few customizations to this cart. Very first thing is these Xlr ports. Now these are inputs. These are microphone inputs into this mixer. It's a Shure SCM268 microphone mixer, and basically it has 3 microphone inputs that will input into 1, 2, and 3 on that mixer. I do have options for a 4 and an aux in, and then a master, but I generally use the first 3. And basically what that does is this mixer will allow me to mix all the audio from these 3 Xlr ports into one output that I output right here into my main mixer. So I have the ability to basically mute or unmute any audio coming into the cart via one button, and I can also change levels of each individual input via this mixer back here. So it makes it very easy for audio mixing at any point and any time. So if you go down here, you can see the front of my PC. It gives me the reading. I don't know if you can see that on this camera or not, but it gives me the temperature reading of the computer as well as the hard drive, and then some cable management down here and wires hanging all about. But these were all customizations on the side. So I drilled some holes in the side so that way I can just plug a headset in wherever we are, and then it automatically goes into my mixer, which then goes into the computer, which then goes out to the stream. So you can see here that I've got also 2 HDMI inputs that are on the side of this cart, and these are for my 2 different cameras that I can plug into here. And I can plug more than 2 cameras in, but just for on a typical broadcast I generally do two cameras. And so I've got one plugged in here, and you can see then that goes all the way up to my tripod, which then comes down and into that input. And from that input, it comes into that little source right there, which flows down into my Intensity Pro cards that I have in my computer. So basically I'm inputting any HDMI source into my computer via the outside of my card. Makes it really useful for just plug and play. Roll this card up, plug your cameras in, and be good to go. Generally I use a software called Wirecast, and that's built into this PC here, but I also use vMix. There's several softwares that I use depending on the scenario and what kind of broadcast we're doing. But we also have to have monitors for people to see exactly what's going on. So if we have a MMA broadcast and we have hosts that are doing commentary, we will have a program out for them to be able to see exactly what they're commentating on. So that's what this HDMI switcher is for. Well, I say switcher, but it's actually like a breakout box. So we have HDMI out 1, 2, that's the HDMI input, HDMI out 3, and HDMI out 4. So we have 4 outputs that we can output a single HDMI feed to, and this will be our program out. Generally is what we show. We can project it to projectors, or we can project it to a monitor such as this, which the hosts can see when they're standing here, or we can project it to that monitor there, which will allow me to see what I'm projecting out to the host. And then I have my main monitor here, which is what I use for the Wirecast interaction typically. And I'll have this MacBook here, or this Mac computer, that allows me to input any audio that I want in the case I want to add music or whatever it is into the studio. So that was a quick studio tour for what we have here, and I know it was quick, and I know I may have babbled on a little bit, but pretty proud of what we've built here, and I think it makes for a great mobile broadcasting solution. If you guys have any questions, be sure to subscribe or ask me any questions directly in the comments. I'd be glad to help you, but this is exactly what I plan to do going forward, and it makes for a lot easier than just dragging in a bunch of suitcases, which I've done in the past, and setting up. Adds for a lot less setup time and a lot more fun. Here is a broad view of everything we got. LiveSportscaster.com. Check it out.